Urea and AdBlue. What are they and why the heck should we care? Welcome to High Impact Flicks. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification icon. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with everybody you know, and don't forget to subscribe to my private email list through my website, highimpactflicks.com, and my backup channels, Here's the Deal and Grease Monkey videos. People ask me all the time,
Hey Brian, do you really use that keto elevate stuff and does it really work?
the answer is yes and yes. Never in my entire life have I lost body fat so quickly. Not even in my prime at 25, which is over 25 years ago. I'm approaching 54 this year. If you want to support the channel and do your health a favor, grab some with my link in the description. I was going to deal with this the other day because I saw a video of an Australian farmer talking about two things that I'd heard of urea, but I never heard of AdBlue, because living in the States, you don't have to add AdBlue to your diesel tank to to combat pollution. This link right here from an Australia website says, what is AdBlue and why would an international shortage bring Australia's economy to its knees? Right down here, it tells you what AdBlue is. Technically known as diesel exhaust fluid, DEF. Has anybody ever heard of AdBlue? I had never heard of AdBlue up until a couple days ago. DEF, diesel exhaust fluid. It actually uses urea to pour onto the exhaust system so that the exhaust that comes out of your car, the emissions are actually, basically eco-friendly and you don't have all this smog in the air. Did not know that. AdBlue is ostensibly an anti-pollutant that's added to most modern diesel engines. The fluid, a mixture of organic compound urea and deionized water, is injected from a separate small tank into the vehicle's exhaust system to cut harmful emissions. Essentially, tiny amounts of AdBlue are squirted onto the exhaust gases, turning the nitrogen oxides into nitrogen and water before they're vented from the vehicle. That sounds like a good idea. It's supposed to be organic. It's supposed to be completely safe. And one thing I hate driving down the road in Oklahoma is when a big diesel truck gets out in front of you and they got those pipes in the bed of the truck that goes out the back. And when they press on the accelerator, that black smoke goes all over the road. It's thick. I don't want polluted air. I want to breathe clean air, and I want my children to breathe clean air. And when somebody comes up with an invention like this where they go, hey, you know what? We can mix this with that and we can compress that and we can get urea and we can spray it on the exhaust gases. And then what comes out, instead of nitrogen oxides, we can turn it into nitrogen and water and make it completely harmless. I'm all for that. That's a good idea. For anyone with a diesel car, you might be familiar with the blue cap that sits alongside the cap for the fuel tank. We don't have that in America. That's the tank cap for AdBlue, which can be purchased at service stations and auto retailers. Well, so there's a shortage now of urea. So because there's a shortage of urea, now there's going to be a shortage of AdBlue. And they're saying when they run out of the AdBlue, then all the diesel trucks are going to have to stop rolling. And it's basically going to bring the Australian economy not to a crawl, but a complete stop. Says a supply crunch of another product is causing the AdBlue problems. Globally, stocks of the key ingredient urea are running dangerously low. China is the world's biggest producer of urea. Wonder how they worked that out. And in recent weeks has been moving to dramatically tighten its grip on supplies to keep a lid on surging prices. So basically China is saying we're not going to export it anymore. We're going to keep it all for ourselves because the price is getting way out of hand. One of the reasons the prices are getting out of hand is because I think that they're actually planning to do this supply line disruption. I don't think that's out of the scope of the oligarchs planning it. But the other reason is because hyperinflation is taking hold at a breakneck speed. We're going to see a story here in a second about inflation just gutting the U.S. and world economies. And remember, inflation is nothing more, nothing less than that hidden tax. If you're getting taxed more, that money, there's There's a transfer of money and power here, the likes of which we've never seen. If you're getting taxed more, that money goes into somebody's pocket. It comes out of your pocket and goes into the pocket of somebody else, and the somebody else that goes into the pocket of are the planners, the world banksters, the Federal Reservers, the IRSers, all the people that are making these governments grow so that they can grow bigger and bigger, and the state can become more powerful, take more of your rights and your wealth away. That's how the domino effect works. That hits Australia particularly hard, given we source up to 80% of our urea supplies from the Middle Kingdom. National Road Transportation Association chief said that there were a few theories about what drove China's actions, but the most likely one was self-interest. Yeah, China's self-interest, of course. So you got this shortage of urea. And another thing urea is used for is fertilizer. So not only are we talking about They're talking about shutting the trucks down from the road if they can't get this AdBlue product, which I would say, hey, if you're going to have a supply line disruption until you get your urea stock back up and the AdBlue stock back up, why would you take the trucks off the road? Isn't it better just to have a little bit of pollution in the air and have these trucks continue to go and keep from shutting down the economy? A shutdown economy leads to closed businesses. Closed businesses lead to people with no money. People with no money can't buy food. And obviously they're saying there's not going to be any food because this urea is a fertilizer, and there's not going to be any fertilizer to grow our plants, and then the crops are going to be damaged. So now we got a supply line disruption going on the food side and the transportation side. This all looks like a setup. Diesel trucks and people who drive them are often described as the lifeblood of Australia. Almost everything we buy in this country spends some time on the road. So they talk about the shortage of urea and this AdBlue. And it could be super detrimental. And they're talking about this happening like the second month of 2022. But I bet nobody's going to use their brains and go, hey, why don't we make urea in this country? Why do we have to sub it out and get it from the Middle Kingdom? Why do we have to depend on China for our urea and our AdBlue? Why can't we be self-determined and get this thing done ourselves? We don't need China. Such BS. Also, The Guardian, what is urea and AdBlue, and why does the worldwide shortage threaten Australian supply chain? As if Australia wasn't decimated enough, as if they weren't locked down enough, as if they didn't have enough bad news in 2021 and 2020.
Hey guys, we know with the way things have been going, it can get really interesting really quick. So make sure you and your family have a long-term storable food supply. Support the channel and get $50 off with my link in the description while you still can.